Welcome back to another video. My name is Gordon Frayne, and today is Friday, May 3rd, 2024. We're diving into another weekly update for the Bitcoin and crypto markets. As always, if you enjoy the content, please make sure to smash the thumbs up button below, hit that subscribe button as well, and hit the bell notification icon so you can get notified every time we drop a new video. We're dropping a video pretty much every single day on the channel, and you're going to want to get notified so you can stay up to date with all the latest moves in the crypto space and hit your crypto goals. So jumping into this week's updates, again, currently sitting at a Bitcoin price of 61,730. We've seen a bit of a bounce in the past couple of days, dropping all the way down below 57,000 a couple of days ago and kind of coming back up above this 60,000 level in the past 48 hours or so. We can see Bitcoin is up 4% in the past 24 hours, but still slightly down about 3.4% on the past 7 days. Ethereum sitting at just over $3,000 at 3,067. It is also up about 2.6% in the past 24 hours, but also slightly down on the week. So in terms of overall market cap, we have seen a slight dip overall since this time last week. However, we were sitting at 2.36 trillion as of last Friday. Today, we're sitting at a price of about 2.29 trillion, so ever so slightly down on the week. However, we did dip even further all the way down to 2.11 trillion about 2 days ago on Wednesday this week, but we have seen that little bit of a market bounce, moving back upwards and now sitting at around 2.3 trillion US dollars. The fear and greed index is also back down to a score of about 48, kind of showing us the market sentiment with the Bitcoin prices dipping lower in the past week or so, fear and greed dropping even lower as well. It's a bit of a relief from some of these high fear and greed index scores above the 60-70 range, really for the past 2 months or so. So we're finally seeing some relief in terms of market sentiment from a fear and greed index perspective, all the way down at 48 today. And we know that famous saying, buy when others are fearful. So it'll be interesting to see if we continue to see more retail buyers entering the market and if the institutions will pick up in terms of the Bitcoin purchasing over the next few days as we enter the trading week next week with the Bitcoin ETFs. Again, they did have a bit of a drop off and even some outflows this past week, but we will get onto that in a few minutes. Looking at the top gainers and losers from the past 7 days, we can see that there's a good bit of green in the chart here. We did see some recovery from a number of these tokens, especially over the past 48 hours or so, and then others were staying pretty strong despite the fact that Bitcoin was continuing to dip. So we've got Helium up about 30%, Wormhole up about 22%. They had a big dip after their initial mainnet launch a couple of weeks ago, so starting to see a little bit of recovery there. Optimism up about 20%, Arweave up 12%, Immutable X up 10%. Meme coins like Pepe are up about 6%. We've got Lido up about 10%, Polkadot up 5%, ICP up 3%, Jupiter 3%, Polygon, Tron, Hedera all up about 2 or 3%. So a decent amount of green on the chart over the past 7 days. However, a lot of the movement here has been made by some of these tokens in the past 48 hours in particular. In terms of the top losers of the week, we do have a number of tokens still in the red and probably slightly more in the red than in the green for the past 7 days. Stacks is down about 17%, Neo down 12%, Pyth and Caspa down about 10%, Sui down 7%, Flocky, the meme coin, down about 7% as well. We've got some other bigger memes like Dogecoin down about 6% on the week, Injective down about 6%, Shiba down about 6%, and then some of the larger caps like Chainlink, Celestia, Algorand all down about 4 or 5% as well. So ever so slightly more tokens from the top 100 in the red than in the green, but a bit of a market split here, and a number of tokens making some recoveries in the past 48 hours. thanks to Bitcoin bouncing back up above the $60,000 level. As we know, we have come through the halving just a couple of weeks ago, and Bitcoin dominance has continued to stay relatively strong over the past few weeks in the lead up to the Bitcoin halving and in the past 2 weeks in the aftermath of it. We have seen a little bit of a dip. We're currently sitting at a market dominance for Bitcoin of about 54.57%, ever so slightly down on last week. And then we were hitting these kind of dominant highs above 55.5% right around the halving time. So it'll be interesting to see if Bitcoin can maintain that dominance over the next few months. We have seen a little bit of a slowdown with the ETFs purchasing Bitcoin. So, it'll be quite interesting to see if we move into more of an altcoin season or if Bitcoin will remain strong. This trend still very much a pretty healthy, strong uptrend. We're not really seeing any break to the downside just yet, and it's looking like we're still going to close above 54.5% on the weekly candle here for Bitcoin dominance. So jumping over to the altcoin season index, again, for the past month, we can see that we're on a score of 20, meaning that it has been a more Bitcoin strong month versus a altcoin strong month. And again, largely due to the fact that we've seen that Bitcoin dominance continue to really hold strong. Top 50 performers over the last month, again, we can see that Bitcoin itself is down about 5.7% on the month, and we've got a lot more red than green here in the chart for the top 50 altcoins over the past month or so. We've obviously got a few outliers. We've got Pepe, HBAR, Tron, BNB, Near, who are all in the green. As we can see, though, the vast majority of the top 50 are in the red for the past month, and many of the altcoins in the top 50 completely wiped out most of their 2024 gains, in the past couple of weeks alone, as we saw that little bit of a market correction. So, we've got Shiba down 8%, just looking at a few examples. On the worst end of the scale, we've got Sui, Uniswap, and Filecoin Injective as well, all down about 25 to 32%. So, many of these altcoins have seen significant drop in price, and anywhere from kind of this 15 to 30% range in drops over the past month is what we've seen with this overall market correction. So as Bitcoin dominance continues to hold strong, we are seeing Bitcoin outperform ever so slightly many of these alts. And again, that might continue for the next couple of months until we see altcoin season really begin to kick off. As we look over to the narratives, what we're seeing is for narratives month-to-date performance here, we're seeing a few narratives beginning to make moves here at the beginning of May. Ordinals, oracles, real-world assets, GameFi, identity, and liquid staking derivatives all being the narratives that are most pertinent here in the first 3 days of May. Again, it'll be interesting to see if we have any of these really take the lead for the rest of this month, and if we see meme coins continue to hold strong and be a very popular narrative. They've performed probably the best narrative performance year to date for all of the narratives, so it'll be very interesting to see if we can continue to see memes making moves again for being the strongest narrative in the month of May. Again, always worth keeping an eye on the narratives that are performing and which narratives your assets in your portfolio are a part of. Finally, jumping over to the Bitcoin spot ETFs. Again, we've seen a lot of action here over the past couple of weeks, but it has been action more to the downside. We have seen some slight outflows from some of these Bitcoin ETF issuers. We can see that BlackRock is still the leader of the new ETFs, and they've accumulated 273,856 Bitcoin. Again, anticipated in the coming weeks that BlackRock will eventually flip Grayscale as the largest Bitcoin ETF issuer with regards to total Bitcoin held. They're closing in rapidly, just remembering that this grayscale number was above 600,000 prior to ETF approvals on January 10th, and they've continued to bleed Bitcoin into the market, even though most of that Bitcoin has been hoovered up by BlackRock, Fidelity, and the other new spot ETFs. We will see BlackRock likely flipping grayscale here in the coming weeks. Fidelity in second place with about 149,000 Bitcoin. ARK shares and Bitwise kind of in the mid-table with about 41,000 and 32,000 Bitcoin respectively. And then on the lower end of things, VanEck, Valkyrie, Invesco, Franklin Templeton, Wisdom Tree, and Hashdex. And interestingly, what we're seeing here is the visualization of the total inflows for the 9 new spot ETFs, excluding Grayscale. And we're currently sitting at a number total of about 527,000 Bitcoin that has been accumulated by the new spot ETFs. Just as a word of warning, this number is slightly lower than it was last week. We were up above 535,000 Bitcoin just over a week ago. So the net outflows that we've seen over the past week, if we go over to the flows tab, we can see here that we did see big outflows here on May 1st, 2 days ago. And, you know, in terms of net flows, the past week has been negative for each of the trading days. So again, we did see, you know, it's very clear that you can see the pattern here, large amounts of inflows all throughout February and March. And then towards the tail end of March, we saw that buying pressure begin to dwindle ever so slightly. April, the first week of April saw significant net inflows. The second week and third week being a bit of a mixed bag, and then the end of April really being net outflows overall. And we can see that with the general trend here going from, you know, above 221,000 down to 213,000 Bitcoin overall. So again, worth keeping an eye on all of this. Obviously, with the market correction over the past couple of weeks, we've seen the spot ETF issuers be a little bit more standoffish. However, we have seen a good bounce in the past couple of days, and I would anticipate that we will see some net inflows beginning to happen over the course of the next few weeks and see these numbers begin to pick up once again. It's always funny to think about the fact that they were market buying tens of thousands of Bitcoin at the end of March here, beginning of April, when Bitcoin's price was above $72,000, and then they take fear and don't purchase anything and sell off when Bitcoin is down at $61,000. So again, I think it's a bit of a learning curve for many of the institutional investors in this space, but I would anticipate this picking up again in the next few weeks. Finally, the last thing we're going to look at is tokenized treasuries. And again, lots of news in the past few weeks, especially with BlackRock announcing different asset tokenization funds on both Ethereum and other partnerships with HBAR, and the potential for real-world asset tokenization on chain is only going to increase over the coming years. What we're seeing here is a breakdown basically of the different tokenized treasuries here in the US. Tokenized treasuries, bonds, and cash equivalents is now over 1.277 trillion, about 0.62% up from 7 days ago. And some of the most popular chains here we're seeing that tokenization happen on are Ethereum, Stellar XLM, Solana, and Polygon. So lots of interesting things happening in the real world asset tokenization space. Again, I think we're going to see this continue to gain popularity and a lot more inflows into this area in the coming 12 to 18 months. So always worth keeping an eye on. So that is our market update for the past week or so. Again, it's been a volatile couple of weeks, but Bitcoin making recoveries in the past 48 hours after dipping below 60,000, now sitting above 61,700 at the time of this recording. Again, it's good to see a nice bounce and some strength with it holding above the $60,000 level once again. As always, if you enjoy these updates and enjoy the content, please make sure to smash the thumbs up button on your way out the door. Hit that subscribe button as well. It would mean the world to us. And make sure to hit the bell notification icon so you can get notified every time we drop a video on the channel. We are dropping multiple videos every single week, so you're going to want to get notified so you can hit your crypto goals. And as always, we will catch you in the next one.